YouTube! What's the deal, family? Come on in. Welcome to Mo's Knows. I'm your host, Mose. Today, we conclude our series called The Checkup. Yes, we are on our final video in this series where we're checking in with all 32 teams across the NFL landscape as we head into the 2021 NFL season. Last video in this series, we're on the best team of the series. Yes, I'm biased. For 95% of my videos, I'm not biased. Okay? But sometimes I am. And that's the fan in me. But that's okay. Because I keep it real with y'all. Even when it comes to my division rivals, I keep it real with y'all. So let me have my moment to bask in the glory of my team, because I'm excited about where we headed right now. I'm excited about it. You should be too, even if you're not a 49ers fan. Because when the 49ers are good, the league is good. The NFL is good. Because of us. Yeah, I said it. Let's take a look at what my Niners were able to do this offseason. Some players that we lost. Some players that we added to the team. And then we're going to look at our starting offense and defense and see where we shake out right now. So starting with some key losses. First is Richard Sherman. Great cornerback in the league for a long time. But we all know Father Time is undefeated. Sherman was getting up there in age. He was never known as a fast corner to begin with. But his speed definitely declined from, what it was, in his prime. And you constantly saw that on a lot of plays, him getting beat, him being out of position. It didn't look as bad as it could have, because he's such a smart player. His intelligence, his instincts, his ability to read the field. So it didn't look as bad as it should have looked. But there were some plays where he was just out of position. He wasn't the same. And then he was injured a majority of last season. So he's been getting nicked up, banged up a lot, last year and towards the end of his career. So we decided, to move on from Sherman at this point. Within our organization and in his career. Defensive tackle Solomon Thomas. Yeah, it was time for us to move on from Solly. I think that's a draft pick that Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch want to have back. I think the plan that they had for him didn't work from the start because of his size. He doesn't look like a typical defensive tackle. And with his athleticism, they thought they could move him outside to defensive end. Well, that didn't work. And I think that shook his confidence a little bit. He had some personal issues, with the passing of his sister. I don't want to, dive too deep into that. I know that affected him a little bit. But there was a point where he said, he was working through that, and, football was his way to, kind of work through that. But I think, moving him from inside to outside and back inside and shaking his confidence, I don't think we did him any justice with, the multiple moves. So it just didn't work. It was one of those players that just didn't work out. Cornerback Ahkello Witherspoon, he left us to go over to the Seahawks. I had him as a starter. Then the Seahawks traded for Sidney Jones, and I think he got bumped. But it's like I said in that video with the Seahawks, they're going to see what we saw. A player who has all the athletic ability, who has the size, who has the speed. He's got the mentality to play the position, but it just doesn't do it consistently. He's so up and down with how he performs. He can perform great one week, and then next week he just can't get it together. He can't string two good games together in a row. He kind of started that way in 2019, the year we went to the Super Bowl, played well week 1 against the Buccaneers, played well the week after that. I think that was against Cincinnati. And then at some point he got injured and he had to sit out a few games. And then when he came back, he just wasn't the same player as he was when he started the season. And he make a play here or there, but then he would get beat deep and he didn't get his head around to look for the ball, and he's just reaching in before the ball gets there, and he's getting called for pass interference. So Kello can be a great corner. He has all the necessary attributes to do that. He needs the mental aspect of the game down, and he needs that mental stamina. He needs that mental capacity to gain confidence and keep confidence. Because when he plays with confidence, he's a good corner, but he's just inconsistent in playing that way. Wide receiver Kendrick Bourne, also no longer with the team. He heads over to New England to be with the Patriots. And Tevin Coleman follows Robert Saleh and Matt LaFleur and heads over to the Jets. Moving over to key additions, we have center Alex Mack, who reunites with Kyle Shanahan, coming over from the Atlanta Falcons. Defensive end Samson Ebukam, we poached him from a division rival, got him to come over from the Los Angeles Rams. Defensive tackles Zach Kerr and Maurice Hurst, defensive end Arden Key, and wide receiver Trent Sherfield. As you see, we've added a lot of pieces to that defensive line with the injuries that we suffered last year. Not bringing back Solomon Thomas, not bringing back Kerry Hyder. We didn't know what we were going to be getting from D Ford this year. And the injuries that we suffered all across that defensive line. We wanted to make sure that we had pieces this year to make sure that we had the depth, that we had the quality production, that defensive line can still be firing on all cylinders. So you can see that trend there. I spoke about it in the Arizona Cardinals video. Wide receiver Trent Sherfield was brought in mainly to help us in special teams, but he came in on a mission to say, I'm more than just a special team player. I can be a really, really good wide receiver in this league. He's proven that so far. He's definitely going to make this team as one of our 6 or 7 receivers on the final 53. And I figured to see him a lot in the slot as our third option at wide receiver, next to Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk. Speaking of those two, let's jump over to the 49ers starting offense. As we mentioned, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk outside at our wide receiver 1 and 2 positions. Trent Sherfield figures to be our slot wide receiver, but I have Kyle Juszczyk here. Gotta put Juice on this graphic. He is our fullback, so he helps us in the running game. He can help us in the pass game, either leaking out of the backfield or even splitting outside wide and lining up as in the slot or as a tight end. So he's very multiple in our offense. So I had to include Juice. I couldn't leave him out of this graphic. Starting quarterback is going to be Jimmy Garoppolo. The faithful fan base is split. Some people want Jimmy Garoppolo to start because he's a veteran, because he's been in the system, because he did take us to a Super Bowl that we almost won. Some people are saying, look, we've seen enough from Jimmy. We know who he is. We know what he can do. We know his limitations. Put in the young guy. Yes, he's a rookie. Yes, it's his first time playing in the NFL. Let him get his bumps and bruises now. Let him go through those growing pains so that he can become better. But you already know what you're going to get from Jimmy Garoppolo. We already know Trey Lance ceiling is higher. So there's a lot of back and forth between the faithful. I'm on the faithful side of starting Trey Lance. I know my OG, Joe Howard, who you've seen on this channel and will see in the near future again. He is in favor of Jimmy Garoppolo. He doesn't, and he's only in favor of Jimmy Garoppolo because he doesn't want Trey Lance to see the field this year. He wants them to fully ingest the offense, to sit on the sidelines, to just take everything in on the offensive side of the ball, understand the concepts, understand the scheme. He references the issues with, not the issues, he references the situations with Aaron Rodgers sitting behind Brett Favre and Patrick Mahomes sitting behind Alex Smith. He wants Trey Lance to have the advantage of not having the pressure, just sitting back, watching Jimmy Garoppolo as a starting quarterback, standing next to Kyle Shanahan on the sideline, picking his brain, seeing what Kyle sees, understanding Kyle's mindset and thought process, really taking in that offense, and then next year hit the ground running as our starting quarterback. It makes a lot of sense, but I think personally, Trey gives us a better shot to win with everything that he can do as far as his athletic ability and his ability throwing the ball. Yes, he's a rookie. Yes, he's green. Yes, he's young. Yes, there are things that he can still work on and improve his game. But I think he needs to play, and he needs to understand the speed of the NFL game. He needs to see NFL defenses not just throwing vanilla coverages at him, because that's all the preseason is. Preseason are base vanilla coverages, nothing exotic, nothing too intricate. So he needs to see an NFL defense actually scheme for him, specifically trying to confuse him, trying to throw him off his rhythm, off his game, try to make him make mistakes. I think he needs to see that. I think he needs to experience it, because he's such a smart young player and he can process things quickly. I think he'll be better for it. But either way, we got Jimmy, we got Trey. I think you'll see both of them. I don't think we'll run a dual quarterback system, but you will see some packages and some things set up for Trey Lance to come in and get some type of burn. Starting running back is Raheem Mostert. We know his speed. Probably the fastest player in the league. Listen, if you put up next gen stats, Raheem Mostert is the fastest player in the league. I know Tyreek Hill got something to say about it. Cole Hartman might have something to say about it. Andy Isabella, John Ross. You put on next gen stats with the ball in his hands and then pads on, Raheem Mostert is the fastest player in the league. Oop, you don't need to see that. I might have to edit that out. Moving on to our offensive line. Trent Williams at left tackle. Laken Tomlinson at left guard. Alex Mack at center. Free agent acquisition that we brought in. Daniel Brunskill at right guard and Mike McGlinchey at right tackle. I'm excited for this offensive line. I'm excited for Alex Mack up front, keeping the offensive line together, communicating with those guys. Trent Williams is a beast. We know that. Daniel Brunskill and Laken Tomlinson, while they aren't all pro guards, they know this system. They play well in this system, so I'm looking for them to improve. Mike McGlinchey put on a weight this offseason. While he said he tried to tune it out, I think he did hear some of the complaints from the 49er faithful about his play. I think Mike McGlinchey is going to turn it around this year. I have faith in Mike. I'm hoping he doesn't let me down. I have faith in him turning it around and stepping up. And then the people's tight end, George Kittle, best tight end in the league. No debate, no argument. Moving over to our defense. Strength in his defense is our defensive line. So starting outside, we have Eric Armstead and Nick Bosa returning from that ACL injury. Trent Williams said in his press conference, it's not a lot of times you see a player go out with an ACL injury and come back and be better. And he said Nick Bosa is better than when he got injured. So I'm excited to see that during the regular season this year. Defensive tackles, we have DJ Jones and Javon Kinlaw. This defensive line is deep. We've got a 8-9 man rotation of really, really solid players on this defensive line. So I'm excited to see what they're able to do. Fred Warner just got a contract extension this offseason, one of the best young linebackers in the league. And I only see him getting better and continuing to improve. Outside of him, we have Azeez Al-Shaair and Dre Greenlaw. Really, really excited for this front seven. At our cornerback positions, we have Jason Verrett and Emmanuel Mosley. That's my cousin, y'all. I don't think he is for real. I mean, I would love to check, like, if he do his, ancestry and I do my ancestry, we really might be cousins. because we spell our last names the same way. It's rare that I see people with the last name Mosley who spell it that way. They either spell it Mosley or Mosely, but both he and I are Moseley. So E-Man might be my cousin. You never know. And starting safeties are Jaquaski Tart and Jimmy Ward. I'm excited about my team, man. I can't even front. As long as we can stay healthy. I think last year was super crazy with the injuries. We lost Nick Bosa and Solomon Thomas to ACL injuries in week 2. Jimmy missed 8, 9, 10 games, something like that last year with the high ankle sprain. It really was never right. Sherman went down with injury. Tart was in and out with injury. Mosley went down with injury. I think Greenlaw was injured 1 or 2 games. DJ Jones was down a few games. Kinlaw was down a few games. I mean, we just had so many injuries. My daughter know I'm recording. I don't know why she did that right now. We had so many injuries on this team last year. I think they put a graphic up at some point. We had somewhere around $80 to $85 million of salary cap that was on injured reserve. So players that we were paying, we had $80+ million of our players on injured reserve. Like, that was crazy. When your number gets that high, that means not only do you have a lot of players, but you have big time players. Bosa, Jimmy Garoppolo, Richard Sherman. I mean, we had so many injuries last year. Kittle was out for a little bit. Ayuk started out injured. I think missed the first 2 games because of his hammy. Debo was out for a little bit. Mostert went down. Like, I can go on and on with the injuries that we suffered last year, but if we can stay healthy, we're gonna be right back in the mix as one of the top teams in the NFC. And if we get into the dance, if we get into the tournament, y'all know we're gonna make some noise. And I can't wait to see my boys in person. It'll have to wait until week 2. But week 2, I will be in Philadelphia for 49ers versus the Philadelphia Eagles. I can't wait. I will be doing some recording while I'm there. So I'll have my camera set up. I'll be out there recording some of the tailgate, recording the game, interactions with Eagles fans, interactions with Niner fans, halftime analysis from me and my OG, Joe Howard. Like I said, you'll see him on the channel more often. Maybe some highlights from the game, big plays. So I'm trying to put together a nice little vlog style, IRL at a real life football game. So some of you guys, if you don't have a chance to go to a game this year, or if you've never been to an NFL game and you kind of want to understand what it's like and what the atmosphere is, definitely we'll have that coming out after that week 2 contest. So I'm excited for my 49ers. I'm excited for the season. And I know all of you are excited as well. So I can't wait for week 1 to come starting September 9th, and we can get this thing rolling. That's going to wrap it up for this edition of the Checkup. And that is the finale of the Checkup series. Thank you so much for tuning in to any or all of the videos of this series. I greatly appreciate you guys. You really don't know how much you guys just tuning in to hear me talk about football. How much I appreciate, you guys tuning in and checking in with me for all of your football content. So I really, really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you so much. Niner fans, faithful, I talk to y'all every day on Twitter and our group chat, on Facebook and the many groups that I'm a part of. But if you're watching this video, let me know, faithful, how excited are you about this season for our boys? Anybody who is in the tri-state area, anybody on the East Coast, or anybody who will be traveling, any faithful that'll be traveling to Philadelphia week 2, let me know in the comment section so we can link up at the game during the pregame and during the tailgate. You can connect with me in the comment section. You can connect with me on my social media. I'll link those in the description below. If you already haven't, please consider doing that. I love interacting with you guys. So whatever your preferred means is, it will be available to you. If you like this video, consider hitting the thumbs up. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in. You're a part of the family now. There's nothing you can do about it. You can make it official and become a know-it-all by hitting that subscribe button and then taking another 2 seconds to hit that bell icon so that you get notified whenever new content drops right here at Mo's Knows. Again, love and appreciate you, and I'll catch y'all in whatever the next series is that we're doing here at Mo's Knows. Y'all take it easy. Peace.